Hey, okay, so we had some exciting shows this weekend. I already did a video on Ben Weeder. So now, depending on how long they are, we're going to go over the Atlantic Coast and the other two shows that happened, whose names I'm forgetting right now. So let's start with the Atlantic Coast. And really quick, as usual, these are pictures and video, or just pictures. I was not there in person, so the pictures do not tell the full story, but it's the best that we have, and I'm going to talk about it. And also, everything I say, it's nothing personal. I'm just looking at the sport as a fan, and I admire all these people who competed, so congratulations to you. Anything I say, it's just like what I think would have helped, but it's nothing personal. I'm just grateful for you pros who are doing these shows and giving me so much entertainment. So let's talk about it. Okay, getting into the Atlantic Coast. So I said my front runners were Romina and who was the other front runner I had? Angelica. So we talked about Taylor, the winner, Angelica, we talked about Romina, we talked about a lot of people, so I'm not going to get into everyone. Cassandra, okay. So, yeah, how did it shake out? Taylor Crowell, the person who I said I was, like, excited to see, she won the show! So congratulations! I was so stoked to see that. So let's start there. Well, let's start looking at these call-outs. The photos are off-center, so I don't really think they're a great representation of the show. I'll look at them anyway. Yeah, they're off-center. I'm not going to go over the comparisons. So yeah, let's start with Taylor. Congratulations. I'm so excited to see this. Oh, what would I change? Nothing really. I mean, let's talk about what she did great. Her conditioning is spot on. She doesn't look too hard. She doesn't look overly muscular. She doesn't look soft. Her waist is tiny. It's like shocking. It's amazing. Maybe she could have a little soft bend in the knee. I'm not sure. I think she looks very relaxed and natural, like she's just standing there. Maybe she could angle the knee in a little bit towards me just to show some of the shape she has here. But those are tiny things. I don't even know if she should do them. I would have to see them in person. She could bring the arm a little bit closer, but I wouldn't really mess with this. She's a very new pro. She's only done a few pro shows. She went pro in 2022, and this is her fourth pro show ever, and she won. And at the other one she did, she got last place twice, and then 11th place, and then she won this show. So, yeah, I'm super stoked. I think the suit color is really pretty. I think it really pops on her. And, yeah, like, this waist is just crazy. I can't stop looking at it. Let's look at her back pose. So I said that I was curious to see if she just put on a little more size, but she could put a little more size in this upper outer glute, but I think where she wins is that she's just very balanced across her entire physique and top to bottom. Like, she looks really good. You see a nice taper into her waist. It's not the most extreme taper we've seen, like on Jasmine Gonzalez or someone, but it is a good taper. Maybe the hair could be a little bit shorter, tiny bit, just because it's starting to like lay sideways a little bit, but I don't really have anything major to say. I'm curious to see what she said her feedback was. I haven't checked. So let's just pull that up really quick. Taylor Crowell. Okay, here she is. Oh, I'm not following her? Crazy. Okay, I followed her. Okay, did she say anything? No. Okay, she didn't say anything. But congratulations, Taylor. Very excited. I honestly don't have much to say, so I'm just going to move on. Just job well done. Maybe how's her model pose? Looks good. Yeah, she's good. She's good. Okay, let's go over Angelica. So, Angelica, what did I think about Angelica? Love the green. And let's look at her front pose. So this isn't fully posed. I think she brings her arm down a little bit. But I would just say, who got third? Yeah, I would just say a little too conditioned. She just doesn't really have any shape in the hamstrings or quads here. It looks kind of just thin. And very vascular. So she looks great, but I don't know. Okay, here she is. I guess here's this picture. So it's a little bit closer. It could be closer. But yeah, the glutes look good. Shape in the shoulder looks good. Same thing. I want her to angle more towards the judges with her shoulders. It's not like she has a thick waist, so angling a little more is not going to do anything against her, I don't think. And I would get the hair off the shoulders. But yeah, I'm not, she could use a little more volume in this upper body here. I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised she got second. I think for Taylor it was a clear win. And what did the scorecard say? And sorry, I don't mean that negatively. I just am a little bit surprised. In person, I'm sure it was different, and she has great stage presence, so, that I'm sure could have something to do with it. And then let's look at the scorecard. It was a 1 point difference. So there's something in person that I'm just not seeing probably. But yeah, I mean, her back pose, I think her glutes look good. I think they look a tiny bit soft right in here. The conditioning just doesn't seem to be balanced for me all across the physique. And my eyes are drawn to her glutes here. I'm not really seeing that balance in the shoulders. So yeah, she's just looking a little bit depleted to me. Congratulations still. What do I know? But yeah, so let's move on to third place. So here is third place. Who is this? Adriana, I think is she her name is? Yeah, okay. So Adriana. Makeup I think is pretty. Tan looks good. And let's see, is she fully posed there? I guess. So yeah, I would say a little tighter in the core. It looks like she's holding a little bit of water because we're seeing this folding in the skin right there. And she's tipped forward. So what I would do is I would stand up straighter, and instead of having this foot horizontal to the judges, I would angle it at like a 45 degree like this. So we get more shape in this leg here, and we don't see this this line going off the side of the glute. And then straightening that arm. So just overall standing more upright and angling that toe. And then her back pose. I don't like these close-up back poses. So let's just go. Let's see if on the next page. So in her back pose, I think she could just be a little bit tighter. Like even in the shoulders here, just a little bit tighter overall. Great shape and muscle bellies. Maybe a little more fabric here because we're kind of seeing the, we're indents in right there, which I don't love. So a little bit more fabric on the bottoms and overall just tighter. And I think she will do well. And this is her pro debut, so congratulations! When do you look at like your pro debut? Let's find out. Yeah, she's definitely put on size since then. Good for her. And I would say her conditioning is much closer there than it was at this show. Okay, and then is this fourth place? Okay, so Renata. Yeah, I think I brought up all these 6. Okay. So yeah, in our fourth place, we have Renata. So she is, let's look at the front pose. It's not fully posed. I guess this. So yeah, this little close up for me to tell, but she just looks harder up top than she does on the bottom. So I would say it's just a balance and conditioning thing for her there. And then I think this is gorgeous. Like this shape to her glutes, I think is perfect. She could also benefit from a little more fabric, but wow, this back pose is really striking. Looks like it's a little off center, but it looks like she could just get a little more upper body to match her lower half. She looks more bubbly and full on the lower than she does the upper. And I think it's just because she needs a tiny bit more size up top. And I think that's also why she's looking much more shredded here than she does on the lower half. I think she has to get that lean in order for the ties and stuff to show. But it does sacrifice conditioning all around because she looks more conditioned up top than bottom. So that's fourth place. And then in fifth place, we have Leslie Potts. So, Leslie, congratulations on fifth place. So here she is in her front pose. And I would say there are some polishing things, like hair looks a tiny bit messy. If her earrings are touching her shoulders, I would get shorter earrings. And she also looks kind of tense in her traps. So I would just relax, bring those babies down, and bring this arm closer to the body. but I think everything else is pretty good. It looks like her shoulders are more dominant than her lower half. Like, we aren't seeing as much volume here in the legs as we are up there. So I would say she's a little bit upper dominant, nothing crazy. Waist is super tight. She could probably angle her hips a little bit more at the judges. We see a little bit more of the front of her suit bottom, and that could make her look more balanced with her top. Because when she's like really profile like this, you don't get that same width on bottom that you do on top. So yeah, I would angle a tiny bit more in the hips at the judges. And then in her back pose, I'd say is she arching too much? It's hard to say. How hard her lats are looking right here makes me think she's arching too much, but I can't really tell. And if she didn't arch as much, then she might not get this shape that she has in the glutes. So I think she's just compensating because her upper body looks overpowering to her lower body, looking at this back pose. And again, polishing thing with the hair, just like all either straight or wavy. Maybe some extensions would be good, especially so we can see the hair give the illusion of a taper into a smaller waist. But yeah, I think she just needs to grow her lower body to start matching her upper body. But congratulations, Leslie. And then Romina. So she was my front runner, one of them. And unfortunately, she came in soft like she did at Battle of the Bodies, which is a huge bummer. Like for her too, I'm sure. So yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of obvious, just like not very tight in the midsection. Same with the legs. The shoulders always have like some good pop to them, but I think she just walks around having good pop to them. The suit color is pretty, but having a light color when you already are not conditioned enough can kind of show that you're not conditioned enough. Really, any suit will show if you're not conditioned enough, I guess. Because if she were wearing a black suit, I'd be like, it's a little too harsh. She looks not conditioned enough. So I think just be conditioned. And I think she's tucking her glutes so she could arch a little bit more because it's making her waist look a little bit thicker. But I think it's just a conditioning thing. Tan is a little muddy right here on that back leg. But yeah, I'm bummed about that. I'm surprised that she would compete for a second time not being in shape, you know? Same thing, just a little bit soft. So yeah, that's really all I have to say. I wonder if she'll keep competing or what is going to be next. Meaning like this year, or will she wait till next year or something else? And then I want to bring up Cassandra because we talked about her. So Cassandra I thought was totally going to be a front runner. Unfortunately, that was not the case. But let's look at Cassandra. I would say she just looks a little bit soft here and here, and in the low abs. But same thing with the low ab that I talked about. I think she needs more coverage right here because when you're standing on stage, you are a little bit arched, which can push out your low stomach. And I think if this button weren't covering it, we'd be seeing like pubic region. So, I mean, not totally, but really close, which you don't want to be that close that you're even considering that. So yeah, I think she just needs to be a little bit tighter. Makeup and hair look pretty. And then in her back pose, same thing, just tighter. You know, like she would get more pop and projection if she were tighter. So I think that's the only issue with her. Okay, let's move on to the next show. Are we going to do Elves? Okay, EVLS Prague. Let's do Prague. I haven't really looked at Prague yet. So this will be the first time I'm really looking at pictures. Okay, so Valeria won. I didn't talk about Valeria in my preview because I didn't think she would win. I mean, she usually comes in really hard, and it looks like she still did. Steve Weinberger judged this show. So he's like an Olympia judge. He's, you know, on the Olympia stage or on the Olympia panel judging. So I am a little bit surprised because we're seeing a lot of detail, like right here. We're seeing cross striations. And this picture isn't centered, so it's kind of, you know, hard to give a real assessment. Let's see if there's there's not comparison photos. So yeah, it's off center. I can't really tell, but from what I can tell, it looks like her back shoulder is up higher. She needs to balance a little bit more. And then looking at her back pose, same thing, off center. I think it's going to be my same feedback I have. She hasn't had time to grow glutes. Also, she stays very lean all the time, so I doubt she's really putting on much muscle. But she needs more glutes, so her glutes will be in balance to her upper body. So to do well at the Olympia, she just needs to put on size, Will she put on size? I'm not sure because she likes to stay lean all the time. And I don't know how serious she is about like doing really well at the Olympia. Because if she wants to do well, she needs to put on size to her glutes, but that's going to require her being a caloric surplus and being at a body fat she probably doesn't want to be at. Because I think that really is the missing piece. Just like if we'll look at a different photo of a different show because that one's not a great representation. But if we look at one where she's straight on and we look at her back pose, then you can tell that her glutes just are not in balance with her upper body because she has more narrow hips. So if she can put on more size, overall, they'll get more projection, and then they'll be more in balance with her shoulders. And then I think she is a force to be reckoned with, as they will, on the Olympia stage. So yeah, that's what I think there. And then second place, Sarah. So I thought Sarah had a chance of winning this show. Again, we don't have comparisons, but it's probably going to be the same feedback that I've had, which is just like, don't really change anything and keep showing up. Because I don't really think there's anything she needs to do. Her conditioning looks good. She has great fullness to her muscle, great shape. I think it's just a matter of being at the right show. And then we've talked about Natalie before. It's hard to talk about these pictures because they're not centered. But Natalie, yeah. Okay, she just went pro. Same thing for her. Just keep showing up and put on more size, specifically to her glutes. That was only her second pro show ever. We're going quickly because we don't have a good pictures. And same thing with Luca. She just needs more size. So she looks really good. I think she is someone we should be watching out for in the future, but she needs to put on more size to be really competitive at like an Olympia level. And then we have Rania. I don't really see Rania winning a show because I think she genetically her waist is just a little wide and it throws it off compared to other people. And she comes in a little bit hard. So I think if she can soften up and pose better for her structure, because you see she sits into her hip really hard, her shoulders cocked up. Like if she's had more relaxed posing and came in a little bit softer, then I think she could win. But I don't really know if she's getting feedback that will help her get there. Steve probably gave her great feedback if he gave feedback at the show. Okay, and then let's go over Shawn Ray. Okay, I'm really excited about this show because Brittany looked better than she ever has. I was taken aback. So, okay, but let's start with, so I'll pull up comparisons. Woo won. Congratulations, Woo. Very excited. Okay, so here we are. Okay, that's not a call out. Looks like that's probably just like the initial lineup. But Woo Bai won the show, and she did change her back pose, which I was very excited about. So here's Woo in the lineup with the other top four. I still think she could make the same changes to her front pose that we've already talked about, but her back pose, she changed. So I made a comparison. So here is her back pose at her last show versus this show. She closed up her stance a little bit, which is exactly what we wanted. And yeah, that's all. That's all she changed with it, and I'm happy. So I don't need this anymore. Done with that. Okay, so let's look at the comparisons with Brittany and them, because Brittany looked the best that she ever has. I was like really, really shook. But I think they just chose people who were not quite as muscular as Brittany at the show, because with this look, I really think Brittany could win a show. And she said this was going to be her last show of the year. But then I saw her on the Kansas City list. So I really hope that she is able to take home that win. So here she is with Zoe and Eureka so she placed 7th of the show. And she said her feedback was that she could grow more glutes. So I assume just like the upper outer glute here. And I think when your knees are like this, then like when your toes are pointing straight forward, then it makes your knees look knock-kneed and a little bit nervous, but she's probably doing that, so her glutes definitely don't overpower her legs. But let's get into first place. So here's Woo. I won't really go over what I think she needs to work on again because we've already talked about it. Back pose, we already talked about. Very happy for Woo. And then Nade got 2nd place. Nade has just a killer physique. It's just this front pose that kills her. I just like want it to be different. Yeah, she got second, which is the best she's done in a while. I'm very happy about that. But she's just so closed off here. The arm is way far out. The suit is not working. We see a ton of side boob. We need more coverage. I'm just waiting. I really like Nade's look, and her back pose is unreal, but it's just these little minor things. But I mean, we all have our battles. My battle is not having enough muscle. And many other things, like my posing needs to be improved, posing conditioning, all that. So we all have things. Same feedback on the back pose. She needs to not point her elbows out like this. But yeah, I think conditioning looks really good, but these elbows are distracting. And then the hair, I think, could be a little bit shorter, and the bottoms could maybe be pulled down a little bit so we get more of this heart shape, but that could probably be achieved just by being able to see the heart shape with the hair being shorter. So yeah, congratulations to Nade on second place. I really hope she qualifies for the Olympia soon. She's also competing at Kansas City. And then Hope, we talked about Hope. She looked fantastic. I think she's posing to look a little bit more muscular than she is. I think she's pretty straight up and down, built straight up and down. I think that's why she's pushing back so hard. But yeah, it's just looking a little ribby. I just want her to relax a little bit, bring this arm down to frame the glute. But yeah, she's very balanced from top to bottom, not overly muscular. And it's just her conditioning. She just needs more size in her lower body because she looks soft here, even though she looks pretty conditioned in her front pose. So just more size. And then we have Rudy. So Rudy went from 16th place to 4th place. So congratulations. What do I think about Rudy? I think she should arch a little bit more here so she can get a little bit more of that shape. This knee is bent, which I don't think is necessarily bad, but I think she could arch more. The suit bottom, I think not a scoop front. I would want a more straight across because it being going vertical like this, like just that piece of fabric, is not giving hourglass shape. It's just not making sense with the flow of her physique, like with these sides pointing up straight like that. And overall, I think it's just going to be more size. She looks kind of hard, but I assume it's because she needs more size, so she has to come in this condition to get that pop. But she's looking tight in her hamstrings too. And I think she's just posing kind of hard and looks pretty tight. And I think it's just because she needs more muscle. And then Eureka got 5th place. She'll be competing in Japan, and I would like to see her win. I'm very excited. I might do a video on the list. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if people care about them, so I don't know if I will. But I would bring this arm in closer. Same feedback. I like the suit, and I like the makeup and hair. Looks pretty. And then looking at her back pose. Here she is in her back pose. So same thing with the hands. They're just, I shouldn't see the hands. So same thing we said with Nade. Just bringing those arms down further on the legs so the arms are straighter, I think would really work for her. I think she just needs more size in this glute and could have a suit that covers right here because we see that little dimple. So covering that or pulling it down in the back, up in the front. And then let's look at, since we were talking about her, let's look at Brittany because I think this is the best look she's ever had. Yeah, she just looks like statuesque, like unreal. They said she could put on more glute, this upper outer glute, I'm assuming. And she could maybe not stand out as far with this foot, like bring it in a little bit and then bring this hand down on the waist so we get more leveling in the shoulders. But yeah, so just those couple posing tweaks. I really like the hair in the suit. And like I said, like 10 times, I think they're talking about more upper outer glute when she said that was her feedback. But yeah, and I would maybe bring these heels in a little bit. I don't know. It's just the knock-knee thing, but we already kind of talked about why she might be doing that. So yeah, and looking a little lopsided, but maybe it's just not a full back pose. Maybe she needs to open her lats up a little bit more. I'm not sure. But yeah, so excited to see her competing again in Kansas City. And I think that's all that I have for you. So thank you guys so much and have a great day.